All over the world, political parties are identified by their own belief and philosophies, otherwise known as ideologies, usually formulated by some kind of orientation of perhaps founding fathers, or a group of persons who have decided, okay, this is what we want to do, and to suit the yearnings of the populace, and especially the needs of the society. Now, party ideology, whichever way you want to defines the policies and programs of that particular political party, and they pursue it to its own reasonable level to actually communicate and articulate their own focal positions. Now, political ideologies vary from socialist to liberal, capitalist, welfarist, conservative, as well as the progressive. And these ideologies have, as people have defined them, are key democratic experiences of societies. You can find such in developed nations, United Kingdom, United States of America, France, India, just to mention but a few. As of the last count, Nigeria has about 68 political parties. But then, what people have complained to be the death of political parties driven by ideology is what we have on ground, especially after the pre- and post-independent eras, when we had the NCNC, the Action Group, the Great Nigeria People's Party, and the likes. What are the ideologies of today's Nigerian political parties? Do they reflect the yearnings of the populace? And do Nigerians consider party ideology as the basis for membership of political parties? Well, these are some of the issues we hope in the next 25 minutes or thereabouts, our guests will be able to look into this with us on Nigeria Today. My name is Blessing Abu. Welcome to the program. Now, to discuss the issue at hand in detail, we have two guests already seated. I'd like to welcome first Alhaji Danladi Pasali, is the National Coordinator of Buhari Campaign Organization. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
And also to welcome back, of course, in the course of the week or sometime last week, we had my guests, and I'm sure you actually had a good time understanding some of those areas that we raised together. Amzat Lawal, co-convener, Not Too Young to Run movement, and also Chief Executive, Connected Development, otherwise known as Coach. Welcome back,
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Okay. Now let's break it down. Yes, I know tried to attempt one or two appraisal there. When we talk about party ideology or political party ideology, essentially, what bets such? Alhaji Pansali.
Well, the truth is, party ideology, we are talking of the ideal or the agenda or a program, a political party. It all varies. You know, as a fact, in the recent times in Nigeria, in those days, if you talk of the NEPO period, some of us are NEPO idealists in those days. So you see, people that believe in that kind of ideology in those days, they did everything with all their heart, with all their mind, without thinking of monetary or anything that will come out of it, because they believe in a leader, in a particular leader, that they believe that leader is because of his honesty, integrity. So in those days, that's the kind of ideology that was spring up in the earliest political setup in the country. But now, we know that there are a lot of, you see people, even husband and wife, coming to form a political parties. So you see, sometimes you ask a lot of questions on ideology of the party. But the truth is that we in the APC, we believe in our leader. We believe in our president, who has integrity, who has the honesty that even Nigeria believe in. So in our own case, in the APC, it is a party of an ideological party.
Really?
Because it all depends on the leadership.
Okay, so it has to be with leadership on that individual, not what the group of persons have actually...
No, there is a like minds. People that of like minds go around the leader.
Well, let's get Amsa's view. When we talk about ideology, individuals or group of persons defining what will work for the populace?
Well, thank you again for having me. Ideology is driven, of course, by a group of people that have deemed it fit to come together to meet the needs and aspirations of their country, or in some cases, their community. But then again, going from best practices, ideals range from being a progressive, being a conservative, or looking at, are you a capitalist? So usually these ideals come together by individuals that believe in themselves and then come together and form a group, which now bets a political party. But just to also probably say this, when we look at the over 68 political parties in Nigeria, none of them are driven by political ideals. And I'll give you a few examples. Maybe I would start with the ruling party. What baited the All Progressive Congress? It was a marriage between CPC, ANPP, and other political parties to ensure that they form an alliance to take over power in 2015. But then, if you look at the drive was centered around President Muhammadu Buhari, give or take. It was
they believed
in his vision person. And in his person. But then, I think that where we're getting it wrong is, in Nigeria, we make an individual much more powerful than institutions. If you look at what is going on today, people are not certain of what is yet to come. And of course, as humans, we will be scared. Because if you go into the constitution of each and every party and the ideals that they are meant to embrace, over time, they only dwell on individuals rather than a collective group of minds. So
are we taking it that they don't even believe in that constitution which the party even present before that?
Well, again, on paper, there's a constitution. But practically, are we implementing what is on paper? Are we practicing what is on paper? You give and take. President Muhammadu Buhari is a fantastic man. But then again, it should go beyond President Muhammadu Buhari. Because today we're talking about how can we build a legacy and an ideal that would live beyond the political gladiators.
Okay.
Because if you have an ideal that can embrace and unite a front, then it means that it would outlive you and sustain that ideal that you have baited as a group or an individual.
Okay, let's get back to Laje Pasali. I know for most people, yes, it's neither here nor there. People are of the opinion no ideology in most political parties. But there are another school of thought. Some scholars have said, in that particular manifesto, in that particular agenda that you present during elections, therein contains some of those things the political parties believe in. So how come they're not actually lifting that to that height that it should be, that at least we now forge that common front, that people now want to be, we can hold this party to this particular Senate?
You see, since the advent of the new dispensation, since when the transition started in 1988,
okay,
the whole agenda then was to drive out the military and take over a proper political dispensation because of the tired of what the military has been doing. Then we have the PDP coming in. Then with this present dispensation, it's just like what my friend said. The group of three political parties, ACN, CPC, and ANPP, and even other political parties like the NPDP that came in. And then you see other groups like Labour Party, some function of Labour Party, some function of so many political parties. You see, the truth is that every political party, especially the APC, has a manifesto. It has its own objective. The main objective is that, you see, Nigeria are tired of corrupt system. Nigeria are tired of people looting the society to the extent that it generates into mass crisis, all sorts of insurgency. Because of, you see, the resource has been so looted that...
So which is the main objective?
So the main objective
is
to want to do the ideology of doing away with corruption.
Okay.
And then reviving the economy.
Which everyone should actually warm up to.
Yes, reviving the economy. And then the issue of how do we even sustain the economy. Because the economy has been looted for quite some time. So all we need is an agenda of doing away with the corruption, insecurity, and then try to revive the economy. So you see, the truth is that the ideology of the party is very clear. And that is what is being implemented: infrastructure, corruption fight, and then insecurity. And if you look at the three agendas of the president,
as manifesto, because you're going to now make all those one. But what ideally do you believe in? Okay, we are taking this from the rich to give equal distribution to the poor.
You see, that is why we talk of change. When you are talking of change, we are not talking of change. It's a gradual change. And change, you have to change the spirit of someone. You see, corruption has been built in Nigeria to the extent that almost everybody is getting corrupt. Everybody is corrupt. It has become like a kind of a doctrine into the system. So to change that system is something that has to start gradually, and that's what we are trying to put in place. And we found out that because of what we are trying to put in place, the issue of fighting corruption, so many people that feel that they cannot fit in, they are now pulling out.
Okay, so that's why we have the gale of defection. That means they never believed in the ideology.
They never believe in that. They never believe that there should be end to corruption in this system.
Hamza, what kind of commitment should ideology give to members of any political party? What kind of commitment?
I think it should be bottom up and top bottom, because most ideologies that we have now and we practice are more for the political elite. If we go to the grassroots, can people at the grassroots simply explain the ideologies of the ruling or any opposition political party? And I'll tell you, what will sustain it is sustain investment in primary health care services. Today, let's go to the Obama era. Everything was about Obamacare. Everyone understood Obamacare means health care delivery. How can we also ensure that basic education? Are we saying that our children, who we call the future leaders of Nigeria, are getting adequate education and timely education at the grassroots? Let's talk about housing. How much money have we invested in housing? Because we know shelter is an integral part of mankind. How can we ensure we invest in this and the grassroots people actually access this? See, before we came to democratic dispensation in 1999, our constitution was built in false pretense because there was no unity of purpose. And that has really affected us from 1999 till date. We need a constitution that lives the aspiration of the people and that can involve and put Nigeria in that global map. Honestly, our foundation was built on corruption. That is why we're where we are today. But I believe that as much as we need a visionary leader that would unite the country, tackle corruption, insecurity, insurgency, we also need someone who can effectively manage our economy. In the sense that it's not just about managing Nigeria's diverse resources. You also need to be able to mobilize resources. Let me take you to Donald Trump. Donald Trump keeps saying America first. He's bringing back the jobs to America. Today they're shutting down manufacturing plants in China and Japan. And he's bringing back it to the United Nations. And if you want to do business with the US, you must reduce your tax. Again, he's helping mobilize resources. So it's not just about mobilizing Nigeria today. We don't need someone who would say, okay, we're going to effectively manage our oil and gas. But no, we need to mobilize much more resources because we need an economy that is not built on oil and gas. We talk about diversification. How much are we diversifying? Our budget is always built on the benchmark of crude oil. No, we need an ideal that says we're going to have it on import or export, or it's going to be built on agriculture. It's going to be built on tax. But most importantly, we need to be transparent and accountable. How do we effectively communicate?
So this will always come back to the same base
accountability, because how do you communicate these issues? And most importantly, how do you ensure that the people that entrust you with power can effectively hold you to account? And just to also mention, when was the last time Mr. President had a public debate engaging with the citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Because it tells about his person and his ideals. Because you need to Nigerians entrusted him with power due to his personal ideals.
Okay,
they believed in him. So we need to effectively engage and continue that conversation and communications.
Okay, let's still get back to what it takes to put up such party ideology, formulation of such. It starts from political interest, political motivation. Am I motivated along this line? Am I motivated alongside like the Pansadi? In doing that, that will help party members. It will help everyone who is coming on board. So there will not be this diverse of interest that is making all this defection. We're going to be looking into that when we return from this break, because we actually spoke with some people too on the streets. Let's find out what they think about political parties and their ideology.
nothing like party ideology. Politicians are actualizing their self-dream and desire based on the situation they find favorable to themselves.
Everybody is playing based on his selfish interests, because if you can see what is happening now, a lot of people are defecting from the other party to another one, not because for the interest of the masses, it's for their own interests. That is the way I look at my own, not to the party ideology or party constitution.
The point is that, you see, the question we are seeing now is it has to do with individual. It depends on what you believe and what other people believe. So if you feel what you feel you are going for is okay by you, you go ahead and do it.
If at all our people can just enter politics with a strong ideology in their mind, sincerely, then you will not see all this.
Thank you very much. Those are views from the street. And back to my guest in the studio. Before we went to the break, I talked about asking questions on what's political interest. Because from the respondent there, you heard them saying personal interest and perhaps maybe ethnic interest, religious. These are cards we've played up from time to time. At what point do we begin to say, okay, the ideals of the party, the ideology of it should be guaranteed above personal interest? Alleged.
No, you see, the truth is that when a group of people came together and form a political party, they must have an idea of what they want to achieve.
Do we have such today?
No, you see, the truth is gradual. Where there are things in this array, gradually things will take shape.
Okay.
I'm giving you a good example, where people came in and find out that they have this, they cannot fit in because of certain individuals' selfish interests. So they have to move out.
Group of individuals, they felt they could fit in from the beginning. That was why that coalition came.
Yes.
You wouldn't go merging with anybody if you're not sure of what will.
You see, let me give you an example.
Were they not laid on table?
They know that issue of corruption has been an issue in this country. Okay. If you look at the first bill that was sent to the National Assembly, the issue of whistleblower program, the same people make sure that that program doesn't work. Even in the case of special court, whereby we should try these people that looted our money and all these things, it doesn't also went through. But it went through another way, through the Justice Ministry,
okay.
the Judiciary. They have to set out another way and then created that this thing. So you see, the whole thing boiled on people believe that business things should work the way as business as usual. People are indisciplined, looting of the country, creating an avenue that will even bring stability, religious crisis, and all sorts of things. And the present government say no. Things must be done in the proper perspectives. That's why we have the TSA, and you find out that all the blockage of the leakages has now bring in more money into the system. The issue of diversification, the issue of empowerment that's even going on within the system, especially the youth empowerment programs. We have so many of them.
You say lack of understanding of all this, that the vision, that is the president as leader of the party, did not get to those people in time. That is what is now causing the disarray.
No, the truth is that they have their selfish desire. Most of them believe that, look, I'm not fit into this system.
Okay, so that political interest was not right.
Was not right, yeah.
Okay, so do we have ideology formed, or is it good to have ideology formed on ethnic sentiment or enrichment or religious? How should we go about the dynamics of forming?
You see, the dynamic ideology now with the APC in power, with the present system, things are taking a different direction.
So how do we do that? I'm not just. It's not just for APC now.
If you look at generally our books, if you are talking about constitutions or our manifestos or our program is almost reading the same thing, but you see, it all depends on individual driving it.
Okay.
That's why I tell you that in a situation where you have a very strong leader, it all happened in the history of the world.
So wouldn't it be better we have strong leaders and strong institutions, just one leader, and other weaker followers and weak institutions?
No, you see, the institution has been there for quite some time. If you look at the NCNC has been there, SPC has been there. There have been so many other institutions that is going on. But you see, because there is no, we have a leader this time that said, look, I'm not ready to accumulate any wealth.
It's not business as usual.
It's not business. I'm not ready. But where the leader is also being involved in one thing or the other, just like what I've seen in the past administration. They will show you a property that is owned by social person, is owned by the social person.
Okay, let me just bring the question. Yes. I think that we need to understand that in Nigeria, in as much as we have 68 political parties, what we have are fans, not members.
Wow.
And let me take you back. Before now, the National Assembly had the majority of the ruling party. And then it tells you something strong. If Mr. President could not get a legislation passed, it means that the ideals of the party is not in sync with the executive, the legislators, which is quite important. Because these are lawmakers, and we need to also understand and accept that without the National Assembly, we were not practicing a democracy. So I want to also believe here that there is an opportunity as we go back and forth. And what is that opportunity? It's bringing young people at the center of the table. And our challenge...
Which brings us to your own question now. The group Not Young to Run, how much of ideological base is being pushed for these young minds and to redirect what...
I'm glad you're asking that question. The Not Too Young to Run movement was built by young people who are leaders of civil society, successful businesses, entrepreneurs. And for once, we mobilized our resources, taxing ourselves, and pushed for legislation that aimed to achieve the reduction of age across board so that young people would have political empowerment. In as much as we always say we have empowerment program, there is no empowerment as much as political empowerment by young people. So now we have this bill which is now a law signed by Mr. President, passed by Parliament. But our ideals talks about competence, talks about ideas, talks about credibility, talks about transparency and accountability, because now we've launched a platform called Ready to Run. And we're saying as young people who are now aspirants, if you want us to support you in building technical capacity, you need to embrace our ideals. If you are elected into office, you must always engage your constituents and ensure that every resources that is accrued to you, you can effectively manage it.
Which brings about the competence you talked about.
And one thing that the ruling party have not yet successfully achieved is bringing young people to the center stage. I know we would argue that...
Maybe not just their own, but not just the ruling
party. Every other party, because there's an opportunity. See, we have 67 million eligible young voters between the ages of 18 to 35. In the 2015 general election, most of the vote came from women and young people. So it means that we're going to be the defining factor in 2019 general elections.
Okay.
And we're
So
mobilizing young people to collect their permanent voters card and come out on election day and vote. So again, this is an opportunity for the ruling class, for the opposition class to give us their manifesto and ideology. So we would know as young people and decide based on the information provided.
Perhaps definite involvement will also help to think out, if at least if you sit together to actually rub minds.
Oh, definitely.
Think
there's always room for dialogue.
But let's take a look at what goes wrong when such parties, political parties, don't have ideologies at all. How does it rub off on society? What happens to society? Elijah.
No, you see, we need to have a strong political base in order to build off an ideological framework. You see, the truth is, this time around, we're trying to build an ideological system in the sense that the party came with an agenda. And I'm telling you that let me tell you what was left now within the system. Let me tell you what is left now within the system is people that believe in what we came for.
So for now, what goes wrong? What happens to society when we are not strong ideologically?
Just to jump in.
No, people will now be... You see, that's what we have been experiencing for some years, for the past 18 years or 16 years of democratic dispensation, where there is no ideology. People can just live at will, despite the fact that there are laws that guide even your living the party to the other.
Okay. Hamza?
Well, for me, we need to get it right. There's difference between politics, governance, public policy.
Tell us.
Most of our ideologies are built on politics. It does not translate into good governance, and there's no public policy. And public policy is the wills and aspiration of the ordinary Nigerians. If we can unite these three forces, then we can progress. But right now, the ideals we have are built and centered around politics, not policies and good governance.
So what kind of orientation should we begin to get? Finally, in a sentence, Alaji, what kind of reorientation do we
The
need?
truth is that the reorientation is what we're all talking about, good governance. And with good governance is involved doing the right thing, following due process in anything you are doing in life. And if you are talking of due process, is that once somebody has been, because the problem is we inherit a kind of indisciplined society where people behave at will, even the young and the old men behave, even at a time. We have some of the youngest governors at 20-something in some of the states. I'm very sorry to say some of them didn't perform.
Okay, well.
And they are part of the governors that they have been caught up with laundry, with all sorts of
constitutionally, you can have a 20-year or 20, it's 35 years and above. But then, for me, I think we need intergenerational equity, where an older person would see a young man, not judging him by his age, but by his competence to deliver.
Yeah, competency matters.
Young people and old people come together.
Experience matters, right?
And experience.
When you talk about experience, for me it's about ideas. You talk about experience. What experience are we going to mentor and learn from? Is it how to loot Nigeria's collective wealth? No.
That shouldn't be the idea.
No, that's what we're saying.
That shouldn't be that.
That's why we need that intergenerational neutrality, where young people and older people can come side by side. And maybe it can start by President Muhammadu Buhari.
And sitting here, I'm looking forward to that day when we have those ideals.
No, that's why we are redefining the
Thank you
system.
very much,
By saying that,
Dalali
look,
Pasali, National Coordinator of Buhari Campaign Organization. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
And Hamza, always a delight to have you. Co-convener, Not Young to Run Movement, and Chief Executive. Code.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching too. We hope to see you again tomorrow when the program returns at 7:30 in the evening. And on behalf of the production crew, say thank you. And you can also watch this particular edition or any edition at all on the program online, www.youtube.com, NK News 24. My name is Blessing Abu. See you next time.